This is 104.1 KPPQ LP in Ventura, California. This is the Pure Rock Show, of course. Thanks for tuning in as usual. I am Mark, as you know, and you just heard the Foo Fighters covering Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty. And I play that for a few different reasons here. First reason is to commemorate their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well deserved, but pretty crazy now that bands are getting in that I remember when they started, which is just nuts, but they definitely deserve it. Number two, it's a great cover. I remember the first time I heard that, I was blown away. As you know, by listening to the show, I play crazy covers all the time. And when I first heard that, I'm like, what a great idea. Who would think an alternative band would cover that song? And number three, I have a special guest tonight on the phone. He is the lead singer of a band called Yachtley Crew. Not Motley Crue, but Yachtley Crew. The self-proclaimed titans of soft rock, Mr. Philly Ocean. How are you, Philly?
Hey, Mark. I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and thanks for calling in. I'm really excited to speak with you.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to it all my week.
Excellent. And I just want to let everybody know right off the bat that Yachtley Crew will be playing in town at the Majestic Ventura Theater on Saturday, November 27th. And I'm going to hold you hostage here because at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you how you can win a couple free pair of tickets to that awesome show, which I'm sure is going to be very well attended. And I'll get into my story here. So right off the bat, Philly, have you guys played the Ventura Theater before?
No, you know what? This is actually kind of a dream come true. We've been wanting to play this venue for years, literally since our inception. When we started playing Ventura, we started at a bar there that I'm sure all of your listeners know called Bombay. And, it's always been our goal to get into the Ventura Theater because of its claim, its history. It's just such an incredible venue, and it's near and dear to the people of Ventura as well. So we've been looking forward to this for a long time, and we were actually supposed to play at the Ventura Theater in 2020, and we all know what happened. Mm-hmm. So we've really been waiting with bated breath to get into this incredible venue.
Awesome. That's really exciting. I didn't think you played there before, but I wasn't sure, so that's really cool. So I just want to talk I want to talk to my listeners because this is the Pure Rock Show, and generally we play hard rock, alternative, and deep cuts and things like that. But about 4 years ago, shortly after I started the show, some longtime listeners might remember I did an April Fool's joke, and I called this the Pure Yacht Rock Show. And I played all yacht rock. And I have to say,
that's awesome.
Your band, Yachtley Crew, was the inspiration for me doing that. So I wanted to let everybody know.
Oh, my God, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. This is the history. I just want to let the listeners know, if they're not familiar, they're probably familiar with what yacht rock is. But my story with yacht rock, when I first heard of it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. I was at a record store in L.A. called the Record Parlor. And they had a section called yacht rock. And I had never heard of that before.
No way.
And honestly, right off the bat, I chuckled and I knew exactly what they were talking about before I even looked to see what records were in there. I grew up, I was a little kid in the late 70s, early 80s, and maybe it was from watching TV or movies, and I just right off the bat just pictured, a middle-aged guy in a yacht, drinking some champagne, listening to his music, and I'm like, I got it. And I'm flipping through the records and I'm like chuckling. I'm like, this is hilarious. And then it was shortly thereafter, I heard of your band. I saw you at Discovery in Ventura. And I'm like, wow, this is a thing. I think you used to play there pretty often, right, at Discovery, or at least a few times?
Yeah, we played there a couple times a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and went to see the show. It was absolutely packed, and I just had an amazing time. I mean, never in my life did I think I'd be having such a good time listening to Christopher Cross and all these different bands. But this band, your band, just put on such an entertaining show, and it just crosses so many different boundaries of rock music, really, which people may not realize. People probably think, soft rock, Air Supply, and there's definitely part of that, but, you go into some, harder rocking stuff, too. So that's my story with yacht rock. And then Sirius XM put on a channel. So my first question for you is when did you first come up with this idea? Who came up with the idea, and how did this get started?
So the credit goes to our drummer, Sailor Hawkins, and our bass player, Baba Booey. And they, we've all been lifelong lovers of music and lifelong musicians, really, everybody in the band. passionate musicians. We've all had our own different iterations, been in many bands, and we all individually have loved this era of music. The 70s and 80s soft rock has always had a soft spot for all of us. I have memories of growing up listening to Steely Dan and Jerry Rafferty and Boz Scaggs in the car with my dad. Every summer. Kind of just be playing on the radio. But Baba Booey and Sailor Hawkins, they have been lifelong friends and lifelong musicians together. And as they have told me, they were hanging out in a hot tub with their wives one night, having dinner and some drinks and whatever. And this music happened to be playing, and I think it was the Sirius satellite radio yacht rock station.
Okay, so that came first. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it literally had just come out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, what's this? And they put this on, and they were like, oh my God, this is called kind of similar to your record parlor story, where you're like, you didn't even know, like you wandered into the section called yacht rock.
Yep.
They kind of realized that Sirius was like grouping these songs together and calling it yacht rock, and they were like, oh man, these songs are awesome, and they kind of had a light bulb go off, and they're like, man, these songs are so fun, and it's all the guilty pleasure music, and I wonder if we could do something with this, and so they kind of started mulling over that idea and listening to the music and kind of the idea for the band slowly evolved. And, as many musicians here in LA do, they put an ad on Craigslist. They started looking for other band members, guitar player and keyboard player. They got Tommy Bowie, our guitar player, from the Craigslist ad, and they started rehearsing. And then they were looking for a lead singer, and I didn't know any of the guys in the band at the time, but I did happen to be friends with Tommy Bowie's sister.
Mm-hmm.
And one night, early on, he happened to say to his sister, he's like, yeah, she's like, how's the band going? He's like, it's good, but we don't have a lead singer, and we're still searching for someone. Do you happen to know anybody? And his sister, Jessica, who's a dear friend of mine, goes, actually, yeah, I think you should call my buddy Phil. I think he would love this idea. I think, he can sing these songs. Reach out to him. And so she actually sent me a message, and long story short, that's how I got to be in the band. I mean, I heard the idea of what they wanted to do, and I heard the genre and what they were singing, and I was like, this is made for me. Like, this is incredible. It's going to be so much fun. And to be honest, we really had no idea that people would respond. Obviously, anytime you're in a band, that's your hope, right?
Sure.
You want people to like what you do, and you hope that they will. But especially with something that's kind of far out there in a way, we had no idea how people would respond. And it's still one of our favorite things is when we go to maybe a place where we haven't played before, a new city or a new town or a new venue, like we did earlier this year. We did an East Coast tour, and we hit all these places that we'd never been. And you get a good amount of your audience there who really has no idea what to expect. And they kind of are looking at you like, a little sideways when you start the show. Like, what am I watching? Why are these guys dressed as yacht captains and, and singing Baker Street and, Hall & Oates, and like, what is going on? And usually about 3 or 4 songs in, we see a dramatic switch and change, and all of a sudden they've popped. They're having fun. They kind of get what we do, and that we're not taking ourselves too seriously. And they join in with us. And that's kind of what our goal is.
And I've seen that, and I experienced it myself. Again, for listeners listening, you might think, sleepy, music, but these guys are so energetic, and it's, you can tell by the names. They take, it's all in good fun. There's comedy with it as well, but the musicianship is there, the songs are there, and it's just such a great time. I want to gloss over the other band member names because I love this. Can you tell the other band member names so everybody can get this?
Yeah. So we got Tommy Bowie on guitar, Baba Booey on bass, Sailor Hawkins on drums, Pauly Shores on saxophone, and Stony Shores on keyboards.
Terrific. And Philly Ocean leading the gang. Absolutely
That's right.
Hilarious. And you mentioned other bands that you and some of your other band members are in. Any other notable bands they'd played with? Were they cover bands, original? Anybody signed?
It's been a slew. I mean, obviously those bands are all they've expired now.
Sure.
So we're all just in Yachtley crew, but our drummer was in a band called Jetliner back in the day.
Okay.
I was in a small pop rock trio here in Los Angeles called the Vice Junkies for a while. Tommy Bowie has had a long solo artist career where he's been pumping out albums for years, and he's kind of well known in the Northeast, Rhode Island, New England area. Our bass player Baba Booey has been playing in and around LA and ton of bands. So everybody's had a lot of success in their own right. And Pauly Shores is a very well known and very well respected jazz saxophonist around LA as well. So everybody.
That's one of my highlights of your show when you guys are doing Baker Street with that sax solo. I mean, I'm not going to ruin the surprise, but I'll just say that is definitely one of the highlights. I imagine you do that every show.
Yes, we do. Yep.
I've noticed Mario, people might know from Saved by the Bell, is a fan of yours.
Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez. Any other interesting run-ins with celebrities? You're playing LA area all the time that are fans of your act?
That's one of the cool things about LA is that you never know who's going to be in the audience. You could show up to any show and look out and see somebody who you've seen on TV or in the movies. We've had Cedric Yarborough from Reno 911, Craig Robinson from, every TV show from The Office, to Hot Tub Time Machine,
Mm-hmm.
He's been in everything. And 100 others in between. Like you said, Mario Lopez, we've even had the Baba Booey from the Howard Stern show show up at our shows, so
that is impressive.
He actually showed up at a show we played at the Viper Room.
Oh, nice. Wow, that's great. Did you get him on stage and have him do anything with you, or you just...
No, we try not to, when you're around LA, you kind of start to know that celebrities are people too. And, they just want to have fun and kind of be left alone. So
sure.
I think we did a shout out from the stage, but we don't like to call people out too much just because it's a lot. We want to let them have their fun. They're there and they're trying to be anonymous. So
I would think Baba Booey would be very impressed you consider him a celebrity. He would be very thankful.
Well, in his own right.
Absolutely. How about musicians of any of the bands that you cover? Have you had any run-ins with any of them?
Yeah, we actually have gotten to play with a few of them. Peter Beckett from Player, we got to play Baby Come Back with him. And
nice.
Elliot Lurie, we got to play from Looking Glass. We got to play with him as well.
Nice.
I think if I could design it, I would love to play with Kenny Loggins someday.
Wow. He really is in my opinion, him and Michael McDonald have to be the kings of yacht rock, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that was going to be my other name to drop is Michael McDonald, just because he's still out there, he's still making music. He's just so phenomenal. The artistry is just incredible. The musicianship is just incredible, and he's so effortless. With everything that he does, it's like, oh my God. Even in Kenny Loggins, the way that he sings is like, wow, it's fascinating.
I think Kenny's still active too. I think I saw recently he had a show planned around here, maybe Santa Barbara. I think he's living in Santa Barbara, or maybe still is around there. So you mentioned you did an East Coast tour. Was that the first time you kind of ventured out of the Southern California, Arizona area?
Yes, that was our first shot going national. We played in Baltimore. We played in Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island. We played in just outside of Buffalo, New York. We played in Chicago, Nashville, just outside of Philadelphia. So we actually had a really successful tour. It was pretty shocking, because again, you never know when you go to a new place, how people are going to respond. And we were pretty blown away by the amount of people that came out to our tour. to see us play and have fun, and it was pretty awesome. And we'll be doing another one again next year, at least one next year.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask, because obviously you've built up a good reputation in Southern California these last several years, and I just have to tell everyone, this band packs people in. The Discovery that I saw them in was a smaller place, but it was packed to the hilt. And then I saw you, probably wasn't that long before, COVID hit, at the Canyon in Agora Hills.
Yeah.
And I mention that venue a lot on the show because we see a lot of bands there that I play. I've seen everyone from Y&T there, King's X, Buck Cherry just a few weeks ago. And I have to tell everyone, I have never seen the place as packed as I've seen at the Yachtley Cruise Show. I mean, it's no joke. It's not even awesome. Comparison. So you guys have I don't have to tell you, they have a really big following, and it's very impressive to me. And in terms of your East Coast, obviously you didn't have much recognition out there. Were you playing smaller venues? Like, what did you see, if any differences out there from where they didn't know you, if there was any?
No, we were playing at roughly the same size venues. About 1,000 seat house. And we honestly were very proud. We pulled a lot of people. I mean, we were averaging 600 to 700 people almost every single show of that tour. So,
wow.
We have a pretty, we have a great team. Our manager and our agent and the venues that we work with are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, that lends itself to helping us, have a successful tour. But, also we also really market, we really push and advertise, because that's how people find out that you're doing something. Mm-hmm. And so we have a strategy of investing in ourselves and investing in what we're doing and getting the word out there, and we think that really helps. But it all comes down to people actually getting out of their house and showing up. And time and again, the people who come out to see us, our fans, are the reason why we're able to do what we do, and the reason why we've had the success that we have, because people show up. They're supportive, they want to have fun, they love the music, and they're eager to get back out there. And that was the thing that we were really excited to see, because after the pandemic, we really didn't know. Were people going to be excited to get back out there? Were they going to be a little reticent? And overwhelmingly, we had really, really strong showing at all of our shows on the tour, and it was awesome, and it was humbling and amazing. Yeah, to see the people coming out.
I think by and large, most people are just so ready to do those things and go back to normal. I know I was. That Buck Cherry show I mentioned a few weeks ago was the first show that I've seen post-COVID or whatever you want to call this time period. And it just felt so good to be something normal again, hearing a great band, being out with people, and I couldn't wait. I'm waiting for my next one to go to. So it's great that you're experiencing that as well. So
we're so excited, dude.
Other than Ventura here, people do listen on our app here all over the country. Have any other upcoming dates you want to mention?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can. First of all, I'll just tell you, because we're adding shows all the time. People listening, you can always go to yachtleycrew.com. That's YACHTLEYCREW.com. All of our shows are listed right up there. But we are going to be playing in a couple of upcoming venues. The Coach House in San Juan Capistrano on November 19th, but that show is sold out. We're playing the Marquee Theater down in Tempe, Arizona on the 20th of November. There are still a few tickets left for that, and that's an awesome venue. So if you're listening in Arizona, in the Phoenix area, come on out. We love going to Phoenix. The crowds there are awesome. The night before Thanksgiving, November 24th, we're playing at the Belly Up in San Diego. And San Diego is another place that's been really, really good to us. A lot of really enthusiastic fans out there that we love. And then the Saturday after Thanksgiving, the 27th of November, that's when we're at the Majestic Ventura Theater for all of your hometown listeners.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a really, really awesome.
And that Ventura Theater, that place has got to hold at least 1,000 people, I would think. You aware what their capacity is?
Yeah, I think it's about 1,000 or 1,200 cap, yeah.
So would that be one of the larger places you've played?
Yeah, one of the larger venues. I mean, there's quite a few venues that are like 1,000 to 1,500 people. So we're in that kind of league now. When we get to play festivals and other live events like that. A lot of times we're in front of like 3,000 to 7,000 people. There's a show that we play in Yuma, Arizona, called Midnight at the Oasis, and there's 7,000 to 10,000 people there every year that we go. So that's pretty exciting as well. That's
got to be something. Do you have any like one or two songs that you personally enjoy performing the most?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so many of the songs are incredible, but Heart to Heart by Kenny Loggins is one of my absolute favorites. The whole band kind of loves playing that song because we just kind of get in this groove, and the song itself lends itself to that. There's groove, there's rock, has these crescendos throughout the choruses, and vocally it's really diverse, because it goes from everything from like this like light, airy kind of romantic feel to like this kind of almost like top of your head voice belt, which is really fun to, lean into, and people just respond to that song. I also am really partial to Fooled Around and Fell in Love by Elvin Bishop.
Ah, yes. Mickey Thomas.
Any of the Toto songs, are really, really fun to sing, because they're so passionate and the melodies are so good. But again, I mean, this is where our job gets really easy because people love this music so much. So if we're doing it justice, they're having fun, there are smiles on people's faces, that's what makes it all worth it.
And that's what I really enjoyed. Number one, most people know all the songs. And two, most of these bands, they really did have stellar musicians, and you guys do them justice. So it's like not only do you get the entertainment factor, the comedy, but it's just, wonderful renditions of these songs. You guys do an amazing job with everything.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that, buddy.
Oh, you're very welcome. I tell it like it is. One of my other highlights of being more of a hard rock guy, and again, I was shocked that this was included in yacht rock, but I'm like, I guess they can spin it this way. Is "Come Sail Away" by Styx, and I'm thinking maybe it's because of the title that kind of fits into the motif, but who knows? But that's another one. I mean, by the time you guys play that, I mean, it's a sweaty, hot. Everyone's having a great time, and really, having a great time. And is that one of your mainstays of the set, or does that kind of come in and out? The Styx song.
It's become a staple of our set. Yeah,
nice.
Absolutely. And again, it's because that's one of those songs that like is definitely yacht rock, but it's one of those tricky ones because it's also very much classic rock, right? Mm-hmm. And so every once in a while, we take some liberty with it. I mean, after all, yacht rock is a made-up genre. Mm-hmm. People just invented it. So, we feel like we have a little liberty. We try to stay as true to the genre as we can. But every once in a while, you have a song like "Come Sail Away" or "Hotel California" that is just, it fits, and it's so good that you can't avoid playing it. You have to, and people love it. So that's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And yes, it absolutely fits the whole motif.
Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking of other, Styx songs that were more of like the soft rock, but I'm like, "Come Sail Away" and "The Yacht," I'm like, that works even better.
Yeah, it's too good.
Absolutely.
It's too good.
Well, Philly Ocean, have you ever run into Billy Ocean? Does he know about you?
I would love to.
Well, listen, Philly, it's been great talking to you. I can't thank you enough for calling in, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. I will be at the Ventura Theater. It's been a couple years, so it's definitely time to check out the band again. And again,
awesome, buddy. We can't wait to see you. Make sure you come and say hi when you're there, too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks again. And for everybody listening right now, I'm sure this show will sell out, so you're going to want to get tickets. But right now, you do have a chance.
Make sure you get your tickets early.
Exactly. You have a chance to win a pair. Yachtley Crew has been good enough to offer a pair of tickets to a lucky listener. So all you have to do, this is nice and easy, grab a pen, email me at our normal email address, which is radio@capsmedia.org. That's radio@capsmedia.org. Put Yacht Rock in the subject line, and all you have to say is you want to go to the show, your name, where you're from, and I'm going to pick the very first email that I get. Just make sure you live in the Ventura area and that you can attend the show on Saturday, November 27th. Thanks again, Philly. I appreciate all your time and looking forward to seeing you.
Mark, have a great night. Thanks for having us on.
You got it. Take care.
Take care, brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.